This is Lecture 9, the beginning of our lecture series on totalitarianism. Now, what is totalitarianism? It is defined by the word total. Go figure, who would have thought? Total power, without limit, without restraint. Totalitarianism will, like the pandemic of 1919, be a product that creeps out of the trenches, a virus, a communicable mental illness which still plagues mankind. The notion that it would be better for us ape-descended primates, or creatures made in the image of God himself, to adopt the ways of ants and bees and other hive organisms, because somehow the problem with humanity is individual freedom. Too much of that freedom, because other people don't do what you think they ought to do. And therefore they abuse their freedom, and what you need instead is control. Totalitarianism, more than anything else, offers those pesky, free, independently willed, wrong-headed, individualistic human beings control. That'll make everything right. The Bolshevik Revolution is the dawn of the first totalitarian revolution on Earth. It happens in November of 1917 with the Bolshevik faction of the Communist Party of Russia in the lead. It's fairly bloodless, but it will ultimately result in the second or third most bloody regime in human history, depending upon how you count bloody. Totalitarianism will take root in Russia, Italy, Germany, and Japan, and there are two factions of totalitarians that try to take over China. Now, when the Bolshevik Revolution happens, the Versailles Treaty powers are so concerned about it that they established the countries of Eastern Europe that had been made between Germany and Russia as what the French call a cordon sanitaire, which is a sanitary zone designed to keep the virus of communism, the communicable mental illness, out of the rest of Europe. They worked together to defeat Bela Kun and his Hungarian communists, and they worked to suppress communism in Germany. Well, actually, the Germans work to suppress communism as it tries to rear its head there during the Spartacist revolt of 1919. So, what invites Bolshevism? Remember that history is like a tennis volley, back and forth, back and forth. The invitation is the chaos and the disillusionment of the lost peace and the lost generation. The sense that all of this bloodshed has been for nothing. So the instability that was dealt with and created by the Versailles powers include a civil war in Russia between the communist Bolsheviks and everyone else. The Bolsheviks control the heart of the country, and the anti-Bolshevik forces, which include Tsarists, Democrats, Social Democrats, Socialist Revolutionaries, and any other party in Russia that wants separation from the old Russian Empire. They all, I can't say come together, because they fight the Bolsheviks separately. And divided they fight, divided they fall. But still, this ongoing civil war from 1919 through 1923 is going to destabilize this entire region of Eastern Europe, including the border states. In Germany, what everyone expected was the most developed industrial economy will produce the real heart of the communist revolution. Karl Liebknecht and Rosa Luxemburg head up the KPD, the Kommunist Partei Deutschland. But their attempt to rebel against the Weimar Republic that's established after the fall of the Kaiser is stymied by a group of right-wingers led by the Freikorps, which is a bunch of World War I veterans who have authoritarian leanings. They're not Nazis, but some of them become Nazis. The Freikorps and other nationalist groups stopped the Spartacists, the German communists who named themselves in their uprising after Spartacus, because they are. And finally, Belakun's Hungary indicates the weakness of another Central European country to communist infiltration and overthrow, but Belakun is thrown by a combination of internal opposition and external pressure, including Herbert Hoover's food organization refusing to deliver victuals to Budapest and the other cities of Hungary while Belakun's communists are in control. So the Hungarian communists fall. But all of this indicates a pretty rickety structure that's being set up after Versailles. Totalitarianism in theory. To talk about theory and totalitarianism is really a little bit disingenuous, because the truth is totalitarianism is very practical. Whatever gives me power is good. Whatever stands in the way of my power is bad. And theory is like a set of clothing that you put on or take off, or it's like the clothing that you use. You put on and take off costumes. You put on a tuxedo for the prom. You put on your uniform when you're at school. You put on sports clothes when you are engaged in playing sports. You put on sort of junky beat 'em up clothes when you are doing housework or yard work. You dress up sort of casual but nice when you're going out on a date or when you're going out with friends. Clothing is the way that we chameleonize ourselves, that we shift from one identity to another, one circumstance to another. Well, ideology shifts. What it's really about is total, unlimited power. Power without limit. Power without limit. That's what it's all about. Theory is a means to that end. Governance is a means to that end. Everything serves the interests of unlimited power within a society for the ruling party and its leader. The leader dominates the party structure. The leader is the embodiment of whatever ideal the party says it stands for, and as the leader changes, the party changes. Remember that moment from George Orwell's 1984? We have always been at war with Eurasia, our ally is East Asia. We have always been at war with Eurasia, our ally is East Asia. We have always been at war with East Asia, our ally is Eurasia. We have always been at war with East Asia, our ally is Eurasia. The shifting of enemies and allies during the 2-minute hate. And anyone who notices is targeted, because you're not supposed to notice. You're supposed to be a double plus good duck speaker. Whatever the party introduces to your mind, you speak without reflection, without analysis, without an individual judgment. The leader dominates the party party dominates the society. There is no political limit on that power. There is no balance of branches of government. There is no constitution that you have to worry about. You do what you want to do anywhere in the society. There is no legal limit. The government, the party, the leader is not constrained by any constitutional set of individual rights. No economic limit. You don't own anything unless the leader and the party and the government allow you to own it. You have no independent control over that which you say is yours, because it's only yours so long as they let you have it. Communist totalitarians appropriate it. Fascist totalitarians allow industry leaders to keep their wealth so long as they do exactly what they're told. There is no religious limit. Bring the swastikas into the church. Put them on the altar beside the cross, above the cross, which is done. Or just get rid of the churches entirely. De-Christianize the society like Robespierre wanted to do. De-Christianize Russia. Kill the Orthodox faith. Make it a death penalty offense on Easter to say Christ is risen. Yes, he is risen indeed. You're going to a gulag or you're going to die right here, right now. No family limit. In a totalitarian society, parents don't raise their children. The state, in the service of the party, in the service of the leader, raise your children. Your children don't have a primary allegiance to you. They inform on you. They are spies against you. That's where the family is permitted to retain its identity at all. In many cases, the family is simply suppressed. The government takes over child care. The government takes over education. The all-powerful party and leader become the true parents of whatever succeeding generation there is. This was the great flaw in the argument back in the 90s, that poor little boy Elian Gonzalez, whose mother died bringing him to the United States, needed to return to Cuba because that's where his father was, and his father loved him. And the Clinton administration brought that boy out of his uncle's home in Miami at gunpoint to go where? Fidel Castro's Cuba. The father was not going to raise Elian Gonzalez, the party would. And so it did. And he was raised as an example, a propaganda case to showcase the glorious communist society in Cuba. There is no tradition that can stand against the party. Those are old ways that must be suppressed. There is no limit on political power. We'll continue next time with totalitarian theory. Thank you.